I want to swing. I love what Al Cohn and Zoot did and Getz and everything like that. And as dated as it may be, that's where my heart is. That's where it always was. My father was a trombone player. I used to watch him play, and I thought, that looks like fun. It looks like it's easy. And then when I got good at it, that created a problem between my father and I will never forget riding home from the variety show at our high school in New London, Connecticut. And I had played Tommy Dorsey's theme, Getting Sentimental Over You, in the show. And we're on the way home. I think Dad was a little bit under the weather, alcoholically. So we're on our way home, we're driving, it's dark. I said, Dad, what did you think of Sentimental? Silence. He's driving along. I said, Dad, what did you think of my solo? Dead silence. So now my mother pops in. She says, Ralph, your son has just asked you what you thought of his solo. My father pops up. He said, hey, Bub, you can fool your music teacher, Mr. Benvenuti, but you can't fool me. Your tone was lousy. Your intonation was all over the place. He says you were using too much pressure. And as far as I'm concerned, if you live to be 100 years old, you'll never be a trombone player. Well, I sat there with a Naugahyde upholstery.
How long is the second one?
55 Pontiac.
The second one.
Wherever it is, my fingernail marks
how long is that?
still dug into it. Because my attitude at that time was, oh yeah?
Got 4 minutes.
We'll see who's going to play the trombone and who isn't, you son of a bitch.
Right. Okay.
I won the
Well, we got about 4 minutes
Reader's
left
Poll
on the second one.
1975,
I'll send it to you. I'll send it
76,
out to you.
and 77.
I'll get it on a disc.
And it kept on going
I'll
all
get it
the way
on a disc.
through till around 1980.
Sure.
When you win polls, it's a popular.
Yeah. Easy.
It's because of
Okay.
those Columbia albums.
All right, cool.
Of course. Sure.
Okay. As soon as I finish this, I'll be back. So
I got back at my father when I went in the Navy.
All right.
I just simply
I'll text
wrote
you.
him one letter the whole 4 years to let him know how PO'd I was over certain things. It broke his heart. He mentioned it to me towards the end of his life. He said, man, he said, you don't know how bad I felt. I said, well, I says, then we're even. Well, he told me down in Florida, he had this little trailer that he lived in down there. One day he was sitting there, he'd been operated on, and his heart was going. He said, well, hey, Bub, he said, I got to tell you, he says, you play 100 times more trombone than I ever played in my life. When he passed away, it almost freed me to go and do what I wanted to do without worrying about what he thought. What's kept me going despite all the obstacles? It's the thrill of the chase. That really, honest to God, is what it is. You know, every time I go out to play, it's like the first time I ever went out and played.